All right. No, it says be late. I call to order this regular scheduled meeting of the 34th City Council for October 10th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Everyone in the audience, can you please silence your phones as to not disturb the meeting? Mr. Clerk, can you please call our roll?
Councilmember Enos? Here. Councilmember Hammoud?
Here.
Councilmember Abraham?
Here.
Councilmember Paris?
Here.
Councilmember El Sawafi?
Here.
Councilmember Herrick?
Here.
Council President Sereni?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Ken, you ready? I'll just introduce you. I want to make sure you had it. Apologize. Okay, at this time I'd like to turn the meeting over to Councilman Ken Paris.
Thank you, Council President. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Ms. Deb Crandall of the Solid Rock Church of Dearborn, who will give the invocation at tonight's meeting. Everyone who is able, please stand for the invocation and also remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
We thank you, Lord, for this day, the opportunity to be of service to our community, and all the blessings you have provided for us. We thank you for your love, grace, and mercy. We thank you for the freedom to be able to meet as we are today. We need you, Lord. You are our sanctuary and hope. We ask you to provide peace and comfort to our community, healing hearts and minds today. I asked you to bless this council meeting with unity and a purpose to serve this wonderful city and its citizens. I asked you, Lord, to protect each council member and their families, blessing them with wisdom to make decisions as they stand for the residents of Dearborn. Give them understanding and knowledge pertaining to each topic and proposal presented. Help them to have compassion where needed, courage in the face of criticism, and a determination to serve as they were called to do so. Remind them of all they represent to Dearborn and how important their role is representing us, calling on you for guidance and direction. I asked you, Lord, to bless our mayor, guiding him as he leads the city. I asked you to protect and give wisdom to our first responders, police, and fire departments as they work to protect and serve our community. I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Crandall. Appreciate that. Okay, Mr. Clerk, we have first item, number 4.
Yes, a resolution by Councilmember El Sawafi supported unanimously, acknowledging the Arab American Women's Business Council on the 157 Arab American small businesses that they have helped, along with the quick expansion of their organization and requesting immediate effect.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Councilman El Sawafi will say a few words, and then I will ask someone from the organization to come up and introduce her to speak, and then we will gather as a council for a photo as we present the citation. Councilman El Sawafi.
Thank you, Council President. On behalf of the Dearborn City Council, we'd like to congratulate the Arab American Women's Business Council on the expansion of your organization across the state of Michigan. Your network of resources, support, and assistance provide Arab American entrepreneurs and small business owners connections and opportunities to thrive in their respective industries. The positive impact your organization has had on the success of numerous operations is inspiring, and we wish you to continued success in your future endeavors.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. And we have Ms. Jumana Jude here from the organization. If you'd like to come forward and make a few statements, it would be wonderful.
Good evening, Council President, Mr. Sereni. Good evening to the Council, to our clerk. My name is Jumana Jude. I'm the founder of the Arab American Women's Business Council. Simply speaking, the Arab American Women's Business Council was founded in 2007 for the advancement of the Arab American woman. It's a very simple goal, whether she is in the corporate world or she's an entrepreneur. This is our sole mission and our sole goal. I want to thank the New Economy Initiative for funding us for year 1, which we're actually higher than 157, and our goal is 200 by the end of the year. I'm happy to report that we've also been funded for 2024, at which time we will also increase our reach in the Arab American community in Wayne County, and we plan on providing pitch competitions where we actually will fund seed money to small businesses in the pitch competition, and that's part of our agenda for next year. I want to thank our esteemed councilman Kamal El-Sawafi for acknowledging our hard work. I want to acknowledge our amazing, esteemed, wonderful, hardworking, passionate project manager, Rita Talib. She has been amazing in pushing this project forward, and our success has to do a lot with her hard work. We do look forward to 2024. We look forward to coming back to you and showing you the hard work that we're doing in the community, and hopefully continue working together for the advancement of the community. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Thank you, Mr. Dean. And thank you, Councilman El-Sawafi, for bringing this to our attention. The council, under my leadership, has switched to looking for these things to be recognized. There's a lot of good work that's been done in the community. And you know, Jemana, I've known you since I was probably 8 or 10 years old, right?
I am proud to say I've known you since you've been 8 years old.
All right. So I know the work that has been done. And Councilman, I really appreciate you bringing this forward. And to my colleagues, there's always a lot of things that people look at the negative, but there's a lot of good work been happening in the city of Dearborn and our surrounding community. So we thank you for coming forward tonight. And we're going to have a quick break where our council comes to the front here to present you with our citation and get a photo.
You.
You got the camera? You got a new photo.
Not the one that.
No. Remember on items, you like to wait for the items. Okay. George, yes.
Do you want just us with the one person then our family?
No, we're all one family. Right? No, we gotta have them. Want to get in there? Yep. We got a new camera council, so let's smile.
So which one?
Bigger with that one.
Okay.
This one is fine. Unfortunately, the mayor was not here. You know the mayor, obviously. He was not here today. His wife is due any day.
Well, the mayor has been a big supporter of It does.
I'll remember, he gave me one of my first jobs.
Thank you so much.
I'll never forget it. Thank you. All right, thank you. Mr. Clerk, can we continue with the second item?
Yes, this would be item number 5 by Council President Pro Tem Herrick, supported unanimously, acknowledging October 2023 as National Disability Employment Awareness Month and requesting immediate effect.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Council President Pro Tem Herrick would like to say a few words to acknowledge National Disability Employment Awareness Month. Councilman Herrick.
Thank you, Council President. We have a resolution commemorating the 78th anniversary of National Disability Employment Awareness Month. And I'll read some of the resolution, but I'd like to acknowledge that Brent Mikulski, the CEO of STEP, Services to Enhance Potential, is here with us tonight, and he's welcome to come up and say a couple words about STEP and the other disability organizations in Dearborn, as well as he is the chair of the Disability Services Commission here in Dearborn. So let me go ahead and read a little bit of this, and then Brent will join us. October 23rd marks the 78th anniversary of National Disability Employment Awareness Month. The purpose of the month is to educate about disability employment issues and celebrate the many and varied contributions of America's workers with disabilities. The history of National Disability Employment Awareness Month traces back to 1945, when Congress enacted a law declaring the first week in October each year National Employee the Physically Handicapped Week. And in 1962, the word physically was removed to acknowledge the employment needs and contributions of individuals of all types with disabilities. Of all types of disabilities. Workplaces welcoming the talents of all people, including people with disabilities, are a critical part of our efforts to build an inclusive community and strong economy. And therefore, be it that the 34th Dearborn City Council recognize and commemorate the 78th anniversary of National Disability Employment Awareness Month, and that the City of Dearborn shall call upon employers, schools, and other community organizations to observe October with appropriate programs and activities and to advance its important message that people with disabilities add value and talent to our workplaces and communities. And be it further that the members of the 34th Dearborn City Council hereby pledge to continue to take steps throughout the year to recruit, hire, retain, and advance individuals with disabilities and work to pursue the goals of opportunity, full participation, economic self-sufficiency, and independent living for people with disabilities. Resolved that this resolution be given immediate effect.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And before we do a unanimous roll, we have someone here who would like to speak on it. If you could just state your name and title again, I apologize.
Sure. Good evening. I'm Brett Mikulski, President and CEO of Services to Enhance Potential. And Councilwoman Herrick, thank you very much for taking this to Council today. It's rewarding to the highest degree when an organization or a council like this or a city recognizes the hard work and the potential for individuals with disabilities throughout their city. To be a leader, not only having this resolution passed today, but also taking the initiative to have a commission that really focuses on the disability concerns is really commendable. So on behalf of our organizations like us and the 1,400 folks that we serve every year, thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for taking this up tonight.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you being here tonight as well.
And Brent, could you remind us, there's the resource fair coming up in Dearborn?
Yep, on October 13th, actually this Friday, is a resource fair. It's a senior resource fair, but we're also partnering with a variety of disability resources. So vendors and community organizations are also going to take part of the day. It's from 10 to 1, I believe, on this Friday. So thank you for that acknowledgement.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for your service as well.
All right. Any objection to unanimous roll? Hearing none, a unanimous roll be attached. Next item. Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Item 6, resolution by Council President Sereni and Council President Pro Tem Herrick acknowledging October 2023 as Library Appreciation Month and requesting immediate effect.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Again, acknowledging October as Library Appreciation Month. I know we have our director here in the city of Dearborn, Betty Adams, so I'm sure she might want to say a few words, but I'm going to let Councilwoman Herrick go ahead and read some of the resolution. Councilwoman?
Thank you, Council President. 2023 Michigan Library Appreciation Month annually designates the month of October as a statewide observance to celebrate the contributions of Michigan's public, school, academic, tribal, cooperative, and special libraries. Michigan's libraries are essential institutions that serve as cornerstones of knowledge, learning, and community engagement. And libraries play a vital role in fostering education, lifelong learning, and literacy for people of all ages, backgrounds, and abilities. Libraries provide a welcoming and inclusive environment that encourages exploration, discovery, and personal growth. Libraries offer access to a diverse array of resources, including books, digital media, educational programs, and technology. Libraries play a significant role in promoting the right to read and the right to access information, enabling individuals to make informed decisions and engage in open discourse. Libraries provide essential services to underserved communities, bridging the digital divide and offering critical support for job seekers, students, and individuals seeking to improve their lives. Hundreds of libraries and millions of library supporters across Michigan are celebrating Michigan Library Appreciation Month this October. Therefore, be it resolved that the members of the 34th Dearborn City Council hereby recognize October 2023 as Michigan Library Appreciation Month. During this time, we encourage all residents, community organizations, and public officials to join in celebrating the libraries in our state, their dedicated staff, and the countless ways in which libraries enrich our lives and contribute to the betterment of society.
Thank you, Councilwoman Herrick. And Director Adams, would you like to come forward and?
I came prepared this time.
Okay.
So I didn't fumble too much. Good evening, esteemed council members. Thank you for the time and opportunity. I, as the library director of our vibrant community, wish to extend our deepest gratitude for the council's official recognition of October as Library Appreciation Month. This acknowledgement reaffirms the vital role that libraries play in shaping the fabric of our city. Libraries are not merely buildings filled with books. They are dynamic centers of learning, culture, and imagination. My favorite part. They are the beating hearts of our community, offering an invaluable space for people of all ages to learn, connect, and grow. In the words of Carl Sagan, the library connects us with the insight and knowledge painfully extracted from nature of the greatest minds that ever were, with the best teachers, drawn from the entire planet and from all of our history, to instruct us without tiring, and to inspire us to make our contribution to the collective knowledge of the human species. With the City Council's recognition, we look forward to a future of shared endeavors where our library continues to be a source of inspiration, information, and innovation, while remaining committed to evolving and adapting to meet the changing needs of our residents. We are excited to embark on this journey with the continued support of our City Council and our wonderful community members. Let this month of library appreciation foster a fresh start for many more collaborations and innovations throughout the community that will enrich the lives of all those that we serve. Thank you for your recognition as we look forward to a bright and literate future for all.
Well, thank you, Director Adams. Just a couple comments. Councilwoman Herrick?
Yep. Thank you, Council President, and thank you, Ms. Adams, for being here today. I just wanted to give a plug to our libraries because, as the resolution states, libraries are much more than just books on shelves. Especially today, they're community centers, they're hubs of activity for people of all ages. And if you look at their website or any of their social media, you'll see a plethora of different programs that are of interest to all ages, from reading with little ones to workshops for seniors to learn how to use new technology and everything in between. This week, I know Thursday night that there's a clay pumpkin making free workshop, and you might see me there. But there are things always happening at the library, so please check out their social media, stop by, pick up one of their calendars, or talk to the staff there, because there really truly is something for everybody at our libraries.
Thank you, Councilwoman, and thank you, Director, for being here. Okay, unanimous roll will be attached. And next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next item is our first public comment section.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. So under the council rules, there is reserved for 30 minutes public comment prior to our council meeting. Again, if there's anything that is on the agenda that you'd like to address, we prefer you wait till that item is addressed, comes before you. And then there's an unlimited public comment at the end. So we do have comment cards, which are in that corner, if you'd like to fill them up so we can get you in the order. First is Marty I know how to pronounce it. Kalbath? All right, sir. Kallenbath? I'm sorry. If you'd like to step forward, sir. Okay. And just for the record, sir, state your name and address for the record, and just a kind reminder, there's a 3-minute limitation with a 30-second reminder by our clerk.
I better hurry. Marty Kaltenbach, 840 Meriden. I'm just west of Telegraph. First of all, thanks for letting me speak. Greetings to everybody. Greetings to Tim Hawkins and Treasurer Durrani. You know, I'm here to speak about the tree policy. The tree policy protocol, as we've, well, it was anyone can get a tree in front of their house, easement tree if they wanted one. It's been changed to if they ask for one. I think this is going to greatly reduce the number of trees that are planted, and it goes against the Dearborn policy of Tree City. It's actually a bureaucratic roadblock thrown in front of people so that they tend not to get a tree. Many citizens, I'm not one, but many citizens can count on the fingers of one hand the number of times in their life they've actually been on a city website. But now I'm supposed to get on the website, answer a bunch of questions. That's actually the city Parks and Recreation's job. I mean, take the tree to your house and look up. Oh, there's wires there. Well, it probably doesn't need an oak. They have to answer these questions, measure with a tape measure, widows, elderly, single moms, people that are busy or don't go on the website much. You have to get a tape measure out. What if it's 29 feet instead of 30? I was told a few years ago it's 35, but whatever. You know, the policy is not adhered to. I could give you dozens of instances. I even saw some today. I'm told that people are sabotaging trees. In my neighborhood, Dearborn Hills, is there someone there that does that? I don't know. I need a list. Maybe you don't want to single out people. I don't want to single out people either. But I don't think there are any. We take upon ourselves to water the trees in an early stage. The average homeowner doesn't really water them. The average guy, you know, a few people do. I made sure mine were watered, but a lot of people don't. And if you don't like the tree, well, you're not going to water it. But we're watering the trees in the fall, and we give them a spike. We don't go on their lawn. It's the easement. We are making sure they get some water. We're making sure they get done. We had one tree a couple years ago go bad. I think I can count on one hand the number of trees that are dead in the neighborhood now. I had a health issue last year. I didn't get to water the trees. But there, I don't think we have a problem. We need trees in our neighborhood. We had a CSO project a couple years ago, ripped up all kinds of stuff, including trees, and several of the trees are dying. I'm glad they stayed up. They had to last 5, 6, 7 years. We think this policy should be reversed, and you should put the tree down. Governments foist things on people all the time.
You have 30 seconds.
So I'd like the City Council to think about reversing this, at least in my neighborhood, Dearborn Hills, where we have more trees per capita than almost anybody else. Not Springwells maybe, but just about anybody else. We love our trees.
Well, thank you very much, Marty. So just a few clarifications, and our director is here, as you indicated. I just did a story on this because we're actually giving the tree out in easement for free. So just to touch on a few things, because I want to make sure, Director Hawkins, if you'd like to come up, because I want to make sure that we're on the same page. First of all, the CSO project in the area where you live, the council approved significant additional funding to make sure that those trees were saved because in the expert's opinion, they needed to be removed.
You lost a bunch.
I know, let me finish. I know, but you made a lot of comments. I got to go through them now. So the CSO project that you had in your neighborhood cost the taxpayers significantly more money because we wanted to respect the neighborhood's request. So we actually re-engineered roads to go around some of the trees. Now, if they died, that's another issue. But so I want to make sure that you understand that. Then as far as the policy is clear in the city of Dearborn. In a CSO project, it's been mandated by this council, the last council before, that every time a tree is removed, a tree shall be replaced in a spot for a CSO project. Now, so if you're saying about if they ask for one, I think what you're talking about is what a new program that we're doing, that we're encouraging more trees. And yes, you have to know if the tree fits in the area because we're not charging them anything. So Director Hawkins, can you speak to that? Because am I correct on the policy that's an automatic replacement on a CSO project?
Yes, on a CSO project
So,
it is.
right, so if you're speaking on where there's no road construction and the tree dies, we always put one back. But as far as the tree program, can you explain how we're doing it this time?
So I think there's a little bit of misconception. I'd like to speak to it.
Okay.
I was recently at, which meeting do we?
DFNA.
The DFNA meeting. And a list was given to me by this gentleman about all the easements in the neighborhood that should have trees planted on them. Whether there was one there or not, we have a list that was brought forward to plant on every easement. And the issue that I have is that I have been going down these lists that I'm given and making sure that the homeowner understands they have to take care of it, right? We have a limited amount of resources that we're planting these free trees at. And I have, to speak to the vandalism, we have planted some in the past, they didn't water them, we came back, they were pulled out of the ground, they've been cut. So now we want to make sure that the homeowner, I need to educate to make a tree survive on a piece of property. I just don't go to a piece of property missing a tree on the easement.
Right, I want to stop you there. So, sir, I know you want the government to mandate a lot of things, but what you're indicating is that you went around and made a list where you want the trees. That's not the way it works. what he's doing is absolutely the bare minimum that would be required by the administration or by the city. Those trees were never there before, and the people that own the house are mandated to take care of the easement, so they should be contacted first. So I want to make sure we don't confuse the two. Construction, we replace, and we still ask the resident if they want it a little over to the right or left. They're the ones living in the house. So you're talking about just you went down and found out where you want them to be placed, right?
I went down and found out, based on something that former Director Murray said.
Former Director Murray?
Yeah, he was a director of
DPW?
Economic Community Development.
Commission, that oversaw the trees. He said
Yeah.
every house that doesn't have an easement tree gets an easement tree.
Yeah.
And now he, of course, he's not here anymore. I get that part. As
Right,
a
I
new
know.
mayor, I get that part. The mayor himself said everyone should have an easement tree unless they say they don't want one. Well, if you don't want one, but I can give you 10, 15 people in our own area that got one tree, two, and never, that I knew of in 20 years of being here, had a tree there before. But it was vacant parcel.
Okay.
So I think that people will put up with trees. And I tell a story. You weren't at this meeting, our own meeting. Someone called
Yeah, we
up
don't
and
want to
said
have
they
a
didn't
story
want one.
tonight, so I want to go through this. I'm going to be honest with you,
Yeah.
because I
They
want to
later
make sure
changed
we're-
their minds.
Yeah. The old administration, what happened in the past, I can tell you, because the easement trees were causing tremendous amount of damages. We have to make sure that they fit within the size. There's a lot more involved now with the new tree program. I actually did a whole story on it, so I hope that answers the question. So what you're indicating is you're going through his list and making sure that the people want it.
Correct.
And do we have the funding for that? Have they went through the process to do the
Yeah, we'll be
measurements?
able to fund them. We have dedicated money aside. We have grant programs coming in with more money. We want to plant trees on the easements on lots throughout Dearborn. What I need to make sure, though, if we spend the time and the money to plant the tree,
Right.
that it will survive. That's all. That's all I'm asking.
Right, and the location is very important to many
Correct.
residents because they're the ones living in the
Absolutely.
property and are responsible for it. So there is no change in the policy, and whatever Director Murray told you that every easement has to have a tree. I was born and raised in this city, and not every easement has ever had a tree, not every easement.
Every
So-
easement, every tree, every home can have a tree.
Right.
He said he was pledged to do that.
Right,
And I
but
said,
they
well, in
wanna-
Dearborn Hills,
But they want to ask for it. See, I think that the difference is the resident would say, I want one. You're going around and telling us where to put them.
well, that's new.
Right.
That residents telling you they want one is new.
No, I don't think it's new. It's not been new. It's new that it's not charging them for them. In the past, we would charge them for them. Isn't that correct?
That is correct.
Right. We would charge them for an easement tree. So I just want to make sure we mix it up with construction, so. Your information that you provided, I'm sure
And I
we're going to go
have
through
it.
it. Okay. Any other
And
comments or
we are
questions?
reviewing it.
Councilman Herrick?
Just one thing that I'm not sure that we touched on. If a easement tree dies and is removed by the city, do we then ask the owner if they want another
Yes.
tree right then and there? So we
Not-
do proactively ask them
Yes.
and replace them?
Yes, when we remove one, but to speak to the CSO project, when we go through and do a mass removal, we try to put those back as well, immediately after the project's complete.
Right.
When we remove a dead tree, we may wait like 4 months, get the ground to settle, we stump grind it, we take care of what we have to, then we plant another tree. That is our process.
Thank you. I just wanted to be clear on that. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate that. The next card we have is Ted Barham.
Hi, it's nice to be back in Dearborn. I was away
Sure,
for...
just again, I'm sorry, the process,
Sure.
please state your name and address for the record, and just a kind reminder, there's a 3-minute time
Okay.
limit, and the clerk will give you a warning at 30 seconds.
Okay, so Ted Barham. Do I have to give my address?
You do not have to.
Okay. I am a Dearborn resident.
Fine. Yeah.
I was away from Dearborn, and I was out of country as well for almost a year, so it's nice to be back. And yeah, actually, I have a specific question, so I just want to preface it. I don't want you to think that, I'm just kind of rambling. To preface it, I actually, part of the year that I've been away, I lived in Palestine and Israel for a few months and really enjoyed that. I went there to learn Arabic better. And so I really enjoyed that. And obviously this is relevant to all the stuff that people are talking about everywhere this week. But there were a few things that really encouraged me while I was there. For example, in the churches that I was part of while I was there, there were Arab people married to Jewish people. There were a couple of Hebrew-speaking churches in the city where I lived, where the leader of the church was an Arab person. And so that was very encouraging to me. Okay, so a friend of mine, a new friend of mine, who's actually, he's a Christian pastor in Bethlehem, Palestine. He's in the area at the moment, and I would love for him to come to Dearborn and speak about reconciliation between Arab people and Jewish people. And that is something that's very important to us, the idea of reconciliation and forgiveness, because that's what the whole Christian message is all about, and that's what the Jewish Messiah that both Jewish Christians and Arab Christians believe in, that's what he's all about. So, yeah, so here's my question. You know, given that I feel that in Dearborn there can be a tendency to be one-sided on this issue, and even some of the public things that are said are one-sided. So my specific question is, would you be open to me using a public building, maybe the Dearborn Library or something like that, where I'd rent a room according to the process?
You have 30 seconds.
Would you be willing for me to rent a room in order to hold this event, which I feel would give hope in a difficult situation?
Okay. Well, thank you very much. The council doesn't handle that administrative aspect, and I think you're very familiar with the process through the recreation and library process. So whichever room you'd like to rent, they have the process. I would just go there and see the process, and I'm sure you'll be obliged. Okay?
Okay, that's fine. I understand about the due process. What I'm saying is, I feel like some public things have been said on the one side, so I'm just giving an opportunity for something publicly to be said to kind of affirm an event that would give hope.
Mr. Barham, I think I've answered your question. You're all set. Thank you very much. Go ahead and file your process normal, and you can do whatever you like to, whatever's freedom you have, you can do.
Can I add?
Councilman Herrick?
Thank you. One other thing that you might want to pursue, because if you do rent one of the spaces on city property, you can publicize it as your event that you're hosting, and that's the location where it happens to be held. But there are a number of organizations in the region and in Dearborn who may be interested in partnering with you, nonprofit organizations. So you might seek those partners to better spread your message and work with them as well. And they may also have a venue available to them that you might consider as an option. Just food for thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here to address the council on city business? All right, so we'll move to the close of public comment. And before we go move to the consent agenda, are there any items that of any member would wish to remove from the consent agenda and discuss individually before I proceed? All right, hearing none. Mr. Clerk, can you proceed?
Item 8, resolution in need of offer and support, approving all items of the consent agenda and requesting immediate effect.
All right, and Mr. Clerk, we have an offer by Councilman Enos and support by Councilman Hammoud. Any questions or comments on the consent agenda? All right, Mr. Clerk, can we have the roll call vote?
Councilmember Enos.
Yes.
Councilmember Hammoud.
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham.
Yes.
Councilmember Paris.
Yes.
Councilmember El Sawafi.
Yes.
Councilmember Herrick.
Yes.
Council President Sereni.
Yes.
7 yeas, the resolution passes.
All right, next item, please.
So now we'll move to item 16, resolution by council members Enos and Herrick approving the minutes of the previous regular meeting of September 26, 2023.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Are there any additions, deletions, or modifications to the minutes? Okay, if not, unanimous roll will be attached. Next item, please.
Item 17, ordinance number 23-1803, an ordinance to amend the license and business regulations chapter 12 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Dearborn by amending Article 1 entitled In General. Resolution by council members El Sawafi and Herrick to take from the table for its final reading.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Unanimous roll will be attached to take from table for its final reading. This is a proposed amendment to Chapter 12 of the Code Ordinances, and the amendments are of Section 12.5, licenses year renewal, and 12.6, licenses fees. The amendment to the section of 12.5 is being proposed to better assist the clerk's office and the city with processing annual dog license. This will help accommodate the new presidential primary date in February, which will reduce congestion here at the DAC and ensure licenses are processed in a timely manner. The date will now expire March 31st instead of February 28th. The amendment to Section 12.6 is to add a $3 processing fee for mailing the dog license and tags, which are due to the post office requirement, and a new change. The renewal fee will stay the same rate of $10 a year. Residents will be charged a $3 processing fee if they wish to pick up their tag or to be mailed to their home. This is the second and final reading of this ordinance. Any questions or comments on this? Okay, Mr. Clerk, can we have the final reading?
This is the final reading of ordinance number 23-1803, and an ordinance to amend the License and Business Regulations Chapter 12 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Dearborn by amending Article 1 entitled In General.
Okay, and Mr. Clerk, do we need, roll call vote, please?
Yes. Councilmember Enos.
Yes.
Councilmember Hammoud.
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham.
Yes.
Councilmember Paris.
Yes.
Councilmember El Sawafi.
Yes.
Councilmember Herrick.
Yes.
Council President Sereni.
Yes.
7 yeas, the ordinance passes.
Okay, next item, please.
Item 18, resolution by council members Abraham and Enos authorizing the mayor to execute the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Application and grant agreements and sub-recipient agreements with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development on behalf of the city. Also authorizing the finance director to recognize and appropriate the grant award and the estimated program income in the amount of $27,005,000 and to receive, direct, and dispense those award funds within the Community Development Fund or other funds as supported through the annual schedule of supported resources, which could include the General Fund, Sewer Fund, and the General Capital Improvement Fund, and requesting immediate effect.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, has allocated the city of Dearborn a total of $27,005,000 in the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery grant funds as a result of the 2021 flooding disaster. These DR funds are to be utilized to support long-term recovery and mitigation efforts following severe storms and flooding. The city's strategy with the DR funds is to complete projects that will provide the most mitigation for stormwater and runoff to prevent flooding with two main approaches. First, the expansion of a stormwater system, which I believe we have a map I think they're going to post for you on. There you go. All right. Yeah, and that squiggly black line is the pipe. So expansion of a stormwater system capacity of a 12-foot wide and a 2-mile long pipe, which is nearly $17 million to repair and replace to hold water retention, and to reduce and delay water storm and collection for holding, therefore releasing the stormwater into the system. The proposed infrastructure projects will expand the stormwater system's capacity to handle water and reduce the chances of stormwater backup to the sewer lines and flooding the homes. The proposed stormwater mitigation projects will delay and divert water from entering the system during heavy rain and extreme flooding events. These projects include green infrastructure, rain gardens, tree planting, and a partnership with Salina Schools to help improve stormwater management and create a more natural environments to help with the resilience of the neighborhoods that were affected. These mitigation projects will also be located in the most impacted and distressed flooded areas, northeast and southeast sections of Dearborn. Immediate effect is being requested to submit the Community Black Grant DR Fund applications to the U.S. Department of Housing and HUD Development, and there is a list on the screen of the appropriation as well. Any questions or comments on this from my colleagues? Councilman Hammoud.
Yeah, so as we often heard during the Charter Commission meetings, and I think most of the council members are privy to this, if you look at the outlines of this type of project, I think you can see it's $27 million, which is a substantial amount of money, but you can see that it's being spread all throughout the city on various projects. I mean, we have $1 million for Oakwood Boulevard, that's going to be in the west end. We have the Colson-Palmer Interceptor stormwater line, that's going to be in the east end. And then we have, I think this is the fourth park that's going into the south end this administration. So I appreciate the ingenuity of the administration on figuring out how to spread things, and I think that this council is going to be in full support of projects like this, especially since I think we always frequently heard about all the tragedies that befell people, including myself, when it came to flooding, especially in East Dearborn. I mean, and I still live in West Dearborn. I still got flooded. I was on the map. There was another map that showed all the flooding that happened all over the city. I think it's very important to say that we are still continuing to look at all the impacts that we can do with all the money that we have. There's still an ongoing study. I did ask on Thursday for an actual impact of what this is going to be, and my understanding is we're not able to actually quantify in numbers what the actual amount of flooding that's going to be reduced by this project is, but rest assured this will still have some impact. Even if we can't guarantee it, it will still help more than what we had seen before, and it's very cost effective. We're not building any new lines, we're actually just performing maintenance and improving existing lines as best as we can. So good job to Director Hawkins for being what's the word I'm looking for here? Innovative, I guess, with his solutions to clean out existing lines. So, good work to our directors on that. So, and I would just encourage administration. I know that we've done one grassy field for East End Parks. I wish that we could put a little more into East End Park, since there are residents who live up there. But I think they'll be happy at minimum with less stormwater in their basement. I think that's why I'm happy to sign off on a project like this. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Paris.
Thank you, Council President. Just the one comment I'd like to make, we do have backup materials available for people to take a look at. If you look at the agenda online, it's available on the city website. But probably the most important thing to me that will be impactful for our community is one particular section that the Colson-Palmer stormwater line should lessen the impact of flooding for a minimum of over 5,600 residential parcels in northeast Dearborn, which encompasses a total of 25,580 residents. And that's 24% of Dearborn's overall population. So that's an important fact. That is something that people should recognize. This is going to be an ongoing project. It's not going to be done next week. It's not going to be done next year. It's not going to be done for the next several years. It's going to be a lot of engineering, a lot of planning, and we are really committed to do this. I think everyone on this council and everyone in this administration is committed to resolve a lot of the issues that we have with flooding in the city. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman El-Sawafi.
Thank you, Council President. Whoever can answer this for me, how does this expenditure of these funds impact the annual allocation that we get from CDBG that's specifically designated for low-income families in the city of Dearborn?
Council President, Councilman Jordan Twardy, Economic Development Director. These funds, these expenditures will not affect that annual allocation at all. So they're a totally separate pot of funding. Okay. Those other funds will still exist for those other programs and initiatives.
Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure we're not using those funds that's designated for low-income families, right, used for a pipe or whatnot.
Correct.
Okay, and then Director Hawkins, if you're available. I don't know. I thought you were going.
No, he's picking up his bottle. He's ready.
Good evening, Council. Council President Tim Hawkins, DPW Director.
I just want to simplify the operation. I know there's a lot of terms here, and we're spending a lot of money. Overall, we're cleaning out the stormwater line, correct?
Correct.
And then we're adding a backflow valve.
We're basically putting a head wall, which doesn't allow water to come back up the pipe. Yeah.
Which is currently happening right now, which makes it useless.
Correct. Correct. Water actually flowed from the Rouge River up to Colson-Palmer Corner, which is a few miles away. That's how much water traveled from the Rouge River up. That will be stopped with the head wall.
And then as far as cleaning out the stormwater line, what are we at right now? What's the capacity? How much of it is mud? Or
well, we believe 50% of a 12-foot diameter pipe is filled with mud from the Colson-Palmer Corner to outfall 16, which is basically at Southfield and Michigan Avenue.
And then the third phase is going to be adding a overflow pump, is that correct?
Correct, a dewatering pump.
Okay, and then we talked about this at the COW, and Council President touched on it as well, that backup to that pump. You know, we've seen what happened during the flooding. or pumps under the bridges that didn't work. What is the plan for that?
So we will be looking at a backup generator that will come on to run the dewatering pumps. We're looking at it, we have them at all of our CSO operations. This would be no different.
Okay. Thank you so much. That's all I have.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Just to touch back on all my colleagues, we did have a great conversation. I don't want the residents to think that we're spending the tax dollars and allocation without thoughtful. This has been vetted through our sewer study. I did speak with the mayor and as well as our OHM as well regarding it. But just as Councilman El Sawafi articulated, for everyone to understand, and I've said this many times, moving water goes back to Roman ages, so it's not as complicated as people like to make it. But it's very simple. If your pipe is below water grade, it's not going to do anything.
Correct.
And what the director is doing is going to find a way that not only we're going to clear out 12 feet diameter by 2 miles, which has never been cleaned out, to store this water. But once it becomes submerged, it can then pump water out, which it doesn't have the capacity now.
Correct.
So for the residents, this is a significant mitigation process.
Yes.
And many people know that I was on many years ago saying that we had a problem with our sewers. Turned out we did. We also did, when we took the council, do a study, and which is almost completed, that will give us the right mitigation to go forward. But I don't see how this could not help in the areas where we're most affected. As Councilman Paris touched on, the areas and the number of homes, but you have to take care of and maintain your stuff. And if you don't maintain your own projects, there's no sense to add new ones when we have pipes there that are really not operating properly.
Underutilized.
Underutilized, good term. So we do look forward to it, and I do appreciate Councilman Pierce, his statements regarding the time frame. What I've learned over my tenure on the council is that the residents are very favorable when they see work going. They know it takes time. They just want to see some work going. So hopefully we'll get going on it soon.
We will as soon as possible.
Thank you guys very much. Any other comments or questions on this project? Okay, any objection for a unanimous roll? Okay, hearing none, unanimous roll be attached. Next item. Thank you, gentlemen.
Item 19, resolution by council members Al Sawafi and Paris, granting the request of Batra Coffee Roasters LLC for the use of open space on the east side of the Dearborn Administrative Center parking lot, south of the loading dock, near the existing picnic tables, to hold their beverage truck to sell coffee and other hot beverages to the DAC patrons and staff 2 days per week from October 13th through December 15th, 2023, between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. and requesting immediate effect.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The Buckley Coffee Roasters has requested to park a beverage truck at the DAC 2 days a week from October 13th through December 5th between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. to sell coffee and hot beverages to city staff and vendors at the DAC. Currently, Buckley Coffee Roasters has a valid vendor license and appropriate insurance through the city clerk's office and has participated in the past city-sanctioned events successfully. It is requested that the council approve the use of the open space on the east side of the DAC parking lot and the south of the loading dock near the existing picnic tables for the food truck vendors. Any questions or comments on this item? Councilwoman Herrick?
I'd just like to, again, mention that at the committee of the whole meeting on Thursday, council did discuss this. We have a lot of excellent food truck vendors here in Dearborn right now, and we just want to make sure that food vendors are given an equal opportunity when it comes to these opportunities to serve our employees on site here as well as at public events. And there is a process in place, and we will be following, which of the vendors are at different events. The administration is committed to giving them equal opportunity to participate.
Yep, thank you, Councilwoman Herrick. And just for the regular business owners of the brick and mortars as well, I want to let them know that the council is committed and has been working with the mayor on a food truck ordinance. For someone, for myself, whose family was in the restaurant businesses, the brick and mortars have to be protected, and the food trucks add a section to it, but we also have to make sure that they're regulated properly. So hopefully soon that will be coming forward. It's on our list as we are working through our legislative agenda to make sure that we have a fair, equitable process for both sides. But thank you, Councilman Herrick. Any other questions or comments? Any objection to unanimous roll? Okay, unanimous roll should be attached. Next item.
Item 20, resolution by council members Hamud and Enos authorizing a single source contract with John A. Papalas and Company in the amount of $1,098,302 with a 5% contingency in the amount of $54,915 for a total of $1,153,217 for metal roof replacement on DPW storage buildings. Also authorizing the finance director to establish revenue and corresponding expenditure budgets in the amount of $1,008,616 in the facility fund, project L15000, and cancel revenue and corresponding expenditure budgets in the same amount in the general capital improvement fund, project ARPA 70.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The Public Works and Facilities Department, in conjunction with purchasing, recommends issuing a contract for purchase of a metal roof replacements and repairs at 3 DPW storage buildings through John A. Pappas Corporation Company. These repairs are necessary as the current roof structures are failing and our sections of the roof panels have collapsed and fallen on the ground. The current roof structures are now past its useful life and are in some cases a safety hazard and can no longer be maintained. The amount of usable space beneath the canopies are reduced due to the erosion of the roof panels and resulting in certain pieces of the equipment being exposed to rain and snow. The value of the contract is $1,098,302 with a 5% contingency added for unforeseen costs for a total of $1,153,217. It is also requested that the finance director be authorized to establish revenue and corresponding expenditure budgets in the amount of $108,616 in the facility fund, project L15000, and to cancel revenue and corresponding expenditure budgets in the same amount in the general capital improvement fund, project ARPA 70 funds. Immediate effect is being requested to allow John Pappas to begin securing materials to avoid potential negative price adjustments and time delays. I think almost all of the council had an opportunity to tour the facilities when we took over on this council and do an assessment and see what is actually happening. These buildings are well past their useful life. I mean, that's really, to be honest with you, an understatement. More of a safety concern for itself. So we do appreciate this being brought forward and in a timely manner so we can get it corrected. Councilman Hammoud?
Yeah, I think to kind of reiterate the point that you made, I think that was very illuminating when we took our tour of DPW, kind of another one of those internal tours that we got to take. You know, everyone had to ride along with the police department, and I think Director Hawkins also, you know, not to keep saying nice things about him this meeting, but it was a good political move, I think, on his part to make everyone come out and see with their own eyes what his employees are going through. I think it's very plain to people who actually saw it what DPW has to go through every day, and considering that, you know, Dearborn residents, we value our services a lot. And I think it's important to make sure that the people who are performing those services have the right equipment, have the right facilities, and more importantly, when we do have equipment, we make sure to take care of it because that's very expensive equipment, some of those trucks. So now just looking at the number, it is $1 million for a roof. So if Director Hawkins would like to come up and explain kind of what he did at the COW, you know, they did evaluate several different options that ended up being more expensive, and we actually chose the middle ground, which was to perform the renovations to the roof to ensure that our equipment was protected and do it at a reasonable cost. I mean, because I know we're also sole source purchasing this, so if you could give us a little bit background on what you guys evaluated.
Sure. Good evening, Council, President, Council. Tim Hawkins, DBW Director. So, as you stated, all of you have seen the condition of these buildings that they're left in. The roofs are over 30 years old for a metal roof. They're exposed to salt. We park salt trucks underneath them. You know, they're next to a salt barn. They've really just run their course in life. And the issue that we're having now is they're in such dilapidated state, pieces of the roof have actually broke windshields on $300,000 tandem axle salt trucks. Mm-hmm. We've put things underneath them to try to stop from pieces of the roof falling. We stop parking under them, which again exposes the trucks to the elements unnecessarily, you know, sun damage, sun wear, sun fade, so on. So what we actually did is we had the buildings evaluated, part of our facilities assessment, trying to figure out where our dollars can go the furthest, and it came back that the structures are savable. But we needed a company that would be able to come in, sandblast the structures, make structural repairs, weld in new plate steel and things to the upright columns, put girders and joists in. Then they would paint them and then redeck them with a new metal roof. Papless was the only one that was able to handle all of the steps in ensuring this and doing it as quick as possible to secure our vehicle. So that's why we went with that bid. It actually came back, middle of the road on the bid.
Yeah, I think what was the estimated cost for replacing the whole thing? A couple million?
Oh, yeah. No, if there was complete replacement, because that was our concern, the issue was actually going to be that if we could not find a contractor that could make the structural repairs that are required, removing them, and it was upwards of $2 or $3 million to replace the 3 buildings. It does house over 100 vehicles on these 3 canopies, large vehicles, semis, tandem axle, dump trucks, bucket trucks for tree trimming, things like that.
So probably like $30 million worth of equipment easily?
More than that.
So I think it's a good investment. I appreciate administration for using ARPA dollars for this. I think even though there's still an ongoing facilities assessment.
There is.
I think taking, especially this one, since you could literally see the roof falling on to the vehicles, I think it's good that you guys were finally able to move this. So.
Well, and this is only the beginning. We are going to outlay where all the vehicles are to be parked underneath it, which will help us know what vehicles are in service and out of service. Where currently we have vehicles parked throughout the yard. It's very difficult to do any kind of tracking system on what you own. So labeling parking spots under the new roof will make us more efficient as well.
Good luck.
Yep, I appreciate it, and thank you, Councilman Mahmoud, for bringing that forward, bringing that part forward. We did ask about building new ones and so on at the Committee of the Whole, and this is a specialty repair. I'm, for one, glad that you did find somebody to do this, because, as I said, Councilman indicated, a lot of us went out there, and and I know the structures are sound, but someone to do the total, complete job is very hard to find. And it's still, I would say, 1/3 of the savings of what it would cost to get a new one. And that's what we asked at the Committee of the Whole, if you would just put a new barn.
Yes.
So we do appreciate you looking into the best way to make sure we use the right tax dollars appropriately. So we do appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments on this item? Any objections to unanimous roll? The unanimous roll shall be attached. Next item.
Item 21, resolution by council members Al Sawafi and Paris, renewing the contract with Claco Equipment Rental Company in the amount of $159,326.83 for bulk leaf pickup and hauling for the fall season, and requesting immediate effect.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. During the fall season, city crews pick up and haul 20 to 25,000 cubic yards of leaves from our city streets during the public service days and deposit them in strategic storage areas for later removal. The supplemental contract will provide the city with a qualified contractor to provide additional equipment and operators to assist the city personnel in removing and hauling the loose leaves from the stored areas during the collection program. The Department of Public Works, in conjunction with purchasing, requests authorization and renewal of the bulk leaf and hauling contract to Colker, is that how you said it? Clocker Equipment Rental, in the amount of $159,326.83. I know we did ask some supplemental questions and received that information. In the past, there was a question of the time frame, so I do appreciate that the contract gives specific time frames to pick it up and also gives the director the ability to call and make sure there's a room, just so the residents know. It's a great service. There has been people that have asked me my opinion on it. I think it's an excellent service, and we should not, I will not be in favor of removing the leaf removal. I know people have come and complained about it, but you got to remember, the leaves are on the ground when the snow comes. You're going to have more accidents and more problems removing snow. So it is a good program for the city. It's been ongoing. But just so the residents know, a lot of times our personnel is taking these and storing them in certain areas, not where they're supposed to go at the end, to make sure they can get back and get done during the service public service day. This contract helps then take those leaves and then get them to the proper disposal at the end. So it has been working much more successfully in the last few years. So we want to make sure that it continues for our residents, and the leaves are coming down, so we know they're coming. Any other questions? Or Councilman Al Sawafi?
Thank you, Council President. Specifically, I want to speak to that schedule. I know we got a lot of information after the cow and during the cow. We asked a lot of questions about the schedule and as well as where would these leaves be stored. I know fall season is upon us, and specifically I want to understand the storage of them and at Levagood, how much are going to be stored at Levagood and for how long?
Good evening, Council. Again, Tim Hawkins, DPW Director. Well, it's not really a how much is going to be stored at Levagood. We are going to try to reduce storage at most sites other than Ford Field and the DPW yard. It does not mean we will not drop there. Depends on the amount that fall and the duration. Remember, we start cleaning hopefully in October 23rd and then go through the city on a schedule of continually removing them into November. But you know as well as I do, the weather can change quickly, the amount that falls quickly. You know, the further we have to travel to dump the leaves, the less we pick up in each neighborhood on the service days. So that's why we have these certain locations that we drop at and then have Clocko come in and haul them out with walking floor trailers. So if we have a moderate fall where we can adequately get through the neighborhoods multiple times, clean up, and we're able to dump them at Ford Field, there'll be very little. But if we have a hard cold front that drops a lot of leaves, then we're trying to move them to locations to get them out of the roadways. It could be more.
As far as dump sites compared to 2 years ago, do you have more dump sites now
No.
throughout the city?
No, it's still the same 5.
Same 5. So we should expect the same amount at each location then?
No, some locations get much more. Levagood is transferred, I'm not Levagood, Ford Field gets 10 times the amount of leaves dropped at Ford Field that Levagood does. Levagood just has a dense tree population, like the gentleman that spoke earlier this morning. There's a ton of trees throughout that surrounding neighborhoods in comparative. If we're doing leaf cleanup in the northeast per se, there's leaves in the very far corner, but in the center of the city there's not as many. So it depends on the area and the weather.
Director, yeah, I think the councilman is also alluding to what you had indicated, that we had some concern at Levagood's new parking lot.
Yes.
So there has been a reduction there as well.
Yes, it is reduced. And like I said, if I can avoid it altogether, I will.
Right. But it's all timely, and again, for the residents, they expect that the day the garbage comes, that those are when the leaves are going to be taken up. And that was the biggest issue in the past. It wouldn't get completed, and they would take another week to get back, and sometimes they had no expectation. We would see the trucks come by, and then 2 days later, the residents putting the leaves out. So this is a more predictable model, and I think the councilman just wants to make sure we have a new parking lot and significant renovations at Levagood. And before it was house there, so we just wanted to, I think that's the concern.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
We wanted to make sure we're doing the right thing and taking the right steps to reduce the amount of leaves at Levagood.
Yes, we are doing everything we can do to reduce the amount that will be dropped at Levagood. But to get them off the street, to Council President's point, on your service day, we have to move them as quickly as possible to a location that is off the neighborhood streets so that they're not impacted. So we will do what we can to keep it minimalized.
Thank you so much.
Right. Appreciate the memo to giving us the information about the pickups, because that was a concern, not under your watch, but we had a contract that had no pickup times. So they just picked them up once a year, and it was a disaster in the past.
We are always trying to improve.
Well, that's good. Appreciate that. Any other questions or comments? Wasn't under your direction at that time. Okay, any objection to unanimous roll? Okay, unanimous roll should be attached. Next item.
Item number 22, resolution by council members Al Sawafi and Enos, extending the contract with Wayne Metropolitan Community Action Agency, Wayne Metro, in the amount of $91,512 for the Wayne Metro liaison at the DAC check-in counter for the term of 2 years from August 1st, 2023 through August 1st, 2025, and requesting immediate effect.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The city entered into a pilot program with Wayne Metro in February of 23 to employ a Wayne Metro liaison to assist Dearborn residents with check-in and tablet process and connect them with Wayne Metro services as acting as a general greeter and an ad hoc translator for our city. The original contract term was for 6 months for proof of concept. This program succeeded in helping residents navigate through the DAC services desk, as well as connecting our residents to programs offered by Wayne Metro. The Community Relations Department is requesting a 2-year extension on the contract to retain the current staff at our welcome desk for a total of $45,756 a year to be paid to Wayne Metro. The city will pay the salary, which is a total for both years totaling $91,512, and Wayne Metro will pay the benefit package, which equates to $27,456. The residents will continue to have a helpful and knowledgeable staff member dedicated to ensuring that their success when they come into the DAC for services. And I know that our Clerk Deraney is in contact with this liaison all the time at the front. And
Yes.
you made some comments at the committee of the whole, so maybe you could share it with our residents for the television viewers.
Yeah, Ollie's been fantastic. I couldn't think of a better person for the position. He's just been great with people young and old. As you mentioned, he helps with translations, but really help a lot of people that are not proficient in English, and he just does a tremendous job. He's always happy, always personable, very honest and patient. Ali's a great addition to the DAC Horseshoe. It really helps speed up the lines as well to keep people moving instead of everybody standing there waiting for something to do or looking for where they should go next. He directs them to the right department. If I could adopt him, I would.
Well, we don't want you to do that.
We
need him where he's at.
He's a great man.
Thank you very much, Clerk Deraney. And I know that you have, he's in your area daily, but this is a great program through our Community Relations Department. And then the resources that he's offering are resources that are not offered by the city. And these are things that he can tell them how they can get help. So it's a great advantage. And obviously the pilot did work. So we do appreciate that. Councilman Herrick?
Thank you, Council President. Yes, at the Committee of the Whole on Thursday, Council asked for a little bit more information about the type of work that this gentleman is doing in addition to translation. And we did receive some information about the number of referrals that he's made for folks that need water bill assistance with their water bills. Beyond that, though, I'm curious what other types of resources he is providing, directing folks to. Well, because this is of interest, whether or not you come to the DAC to get it, or if you just want to know that it's available and out there.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Council. Ollie Phillips, Director of Community Relations. So far, he's been mostly focusing on the RAP and LIWAP programs that the city is a part of in the effort of deepening our relationship with Wayne Metro and offering more programs to our residents. There are additional programs that Wayne Metro offers. I think if you that he can connect them theoretically with all of them. If you go on their website, you actually have to keep scrolling for like a solid 5 minutes to kind of end all of the programs that they have access to. One of the big ones is weatherization. That we're going to introduce. We're actually planning another CAD on this chart you guys have, stands for Customer Assistance Day. We're actually planning another one of those with Ollie's help coming up in December. So there are a whole host of services that Wayne Metro offers. Something that they also do is their universal application. So you see he's been able to help 60 of our residents with this universal application. This basically, they fill out all of the information needed for every service that Wayne Metro offers. Then Wayne Metro has the onus kind of on themselves to pick and choose which programs they think can, completely help that resident and all of those different wraparound services. So there's a lot, I think, that we can continue to do with them and expand the program as well.
Thank you.
Well, we do appreciate that. I know the RAP program is something that we adopted on the council, but it's not really out there.
Yes.
And the water is a very big deal. We don't want to turn anyone's water off, and this program does give them up to $1,000 if they qualify to help pay those water bills. And I know our department always works with them regarding their billing process, so we do appreciate that. That's just one aspect to it. So, exactly. Councilman Hammoud?
I was in support of this item already from Thursday, but I think hearing some of the comments here today, I would also like to say something we brought up early in the administration was how helpful it would be if we had multilingual people in the Horseshoe. And I'm glad to hear that when we started introducing them, it ended up being a great net positive, not only for the residents, but also for the administration and helping people through that system. And I don't know how you guys necessarily accomplished this. I mean, clearly it's with Wayne County, so good job. Because I think one of the things we had asked before was, well, how can we get multilingual readers into the job spec? And it was like, well, that's impossible. So I'm glad that it just got done. From a effective standpoint, good job. That's all I gotta say. And I'm glad to hear that it's working out well, and hopefully we can continue to expand programs like this into other departments to help them also become, whether it be culturally aware or linguistically aware, and help people interact better internally and externally with the city. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Director. Councilman Paris.
Thank you, Council President. If I could, If you could explain to me, though, I know if this gentleman is off for any extended period of time, is there any provisions to be able to bring other personnel in from this agency?
Yes, yes. So right now we have an agreement where if Ollie is off for more than 2 consecutive days, we're able to bring in another person from the agency to kind of slot into his spot to be able to fill that seat for the city. So we shouldn't be out of service for any extended period of time.
And I know the city has been looking at kind of revamping a personnel issue that's been a problem over the years, is cutting out contractors and doing a lot of work inside, you know, bringing employees here to do the job instead of contractors because of proof of service and, you know, a commitment to work here in the city and more supervision and management. Is there any possibility in the future, and I know this is going on for another couple of years, that we might entertain, because of the success or maybe some of the shortcomings of this program, that we may consider bringing somebody in full-time on staff that is a city employee?
I would not be opposed to that idea. I think just because Ollie has now been cross-trained between city work and Wayne Metro work, that he is kind of able to bridge that gap really effectively, and I think in a way that I'm not sure that a city employee would be able to do, given that they don't really have access into those Wayne Metro systems that he has access to. So he's kind of able to kind of straddle both areas, and I think we get better service because of that, but I'm never opposed to bringing in more staff to help our residents. So.
And I personally got to say thank you, too, for the backup material that you provided after we had some questions, you know, during the committee of the whole. That was referenced as the cow, you know, for people out there, it's the committee of the whole. So I thank you for that additional information that was very useful. Of course. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Phillips.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments on this item? Any objection to unanimous roll? Okay, unanimous roll will be attached. Next item.
Item 23, resolution by council members Paris and Enos, authorizing the finance director to process the addition of 1 full-time office assistant 3 position and eliminate 2 part-time positions from the fiscal year 2024 budget of the Parks and Recreation Department and requesting immediate effect.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The new position request for Office Assistant 3 will address the needs of the Parks and Recreation Department operations and providing support not only to the theater and special event divisions, but also to the banquet and fine arts divisions as well. With the increased demand for new programs and activities both in and outside of the Ford Community and Performing Arts Center, this position will help in helping manage and optimize future programs and events. This position will also have a net zero impact on our 24 budget due to the resignation of 2 part-time employees, allowing the department to create a new full-time office position that will better suit the needs of the department. This position will report to the theater manager and also have regular interaction with our banquet supervisor and technical director. Immediate effect is being requested. This has been an ongoing movement from the city council and the mayor direction to try to move part-times, as many into full-times. We believe it's a better mix and a better service model for the future, so we do appreciate this movement forward. Councilwoman Herrick.
Thank you, Council President. We did discuss this at the Committee of the Whole as well. I had asked for some information, and I was aware, and it was reiterated that if positions are, part-time positions are combined to make a full-time position, if that position was filled at the time, the employee in that role is encouraged to look for other positions within the city that their skills might fit that need. And at that time, I know some folks decide to retire and that kind of thing. But what I'm wondering is, could we receive, and I know in our budget the totals are all there, but just a total, you know, how many part-time employees and how many full-time employees did the city have in January of 2022? And how many full-time employees and part-time employees do we have at this time? I'm just, I know a lot of these are net zero. They kind of cancel each other out when we combine the positions, but I'm just wondering as far as our staff makeup as a whole at this point.
Okay, absolutely. Ms. McHannon, would you be able to provide some type of report to the council regarding that, the staffing levels?
Absolutely, and that staff comparison was also included as part of the 2024 budget process, and the final budget book does include those comparisons as well, but we'll provide a shorter appendix to council.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on this item? Any objection to unanimous roll? Okay, unanimous roll shall be attached. Next item.
Item 24, resolution by council members Abraham and Enos authorizing the mayor to enter into a 2-year use agreement with Divine Child Parish of Dearborn on behalf of the city for use of ball diamonds number 1 and 2 at Levelgood Park Ball Field and requesting immediate effect.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The city of Dearborn wishes to enter into an agreement with the Divine Child Parish of Dearborn for the use of 2 baseball diamonds, Diamond 1 and 2 at Levelgood Park. Divine Child Parish will benefit for the continued use of baseball fields at Levelgood Park, allowing maximum use for the facilities and enjoyment by students, petitioners, and visitors to the facility. The fields will be available to the general public outside the scheduled use of the Divine Child Athletic Department. With a new user agreement in place, the arrangement becomes official for years to come, following our official use of the fields primary between the months of March and May. The Parks and Recreation Administration will oversee the relationship between the Ball, Diamond, and Divine Child Parish. This is an issue that the mayor has been working on for a long time. When we have facilities or gems like Divine Child in our city with a baseball, I don't know, Councilman Enos might correct me, but some of them went to the National Baseball League. Maybe you want to chime into that.
The country right now for the Tigers plays Divine Child.
Right. So yeah, that's it. I didn't know that. I know that baseball at Divine Child is a very, very big deal, and it made no sense when I met with the mayor and he did bring this forward. It made no sense that the baseball fields that were underutilized right across the street from the parish and the school could not be outfitted and contributed in a joint partnership. The government and the city, that's what our job is. These partnerships last a long time and benefit both the school system as well as the taxpayers and the residents. So this is something, if you haven't seen the new grading and the way it looks, it's a tremendous look, and we look for a long-term relationship and continue having some of those people go on to bigger and better things from the schools in our local area. Councilwoman Herrick.
Thank you, Council President. Yes, in addition to the field that Divine Child is using, there were upgrades to all the fields at Levelgood, and I know that the people that play baseball and softball out there appreciate that. Just a quick question, though. The Divine Child designated field now has the beautiful scoreboard and everything on it. Is that field also used by Dearborn Baseball when Divine Child's not using it?
We'll have the director come forward regarding the programming. That the backup indicates that they would have preference, but let's see what the director has.
Good evening, Council. Sean Fletcher, Parks and Recreation Director. Yes, they would have, Divine Child would have the first crack at use of those fields, but when they're not being used, our hope is that we would now be able to schedule some tournaments there and generate some revenue. The fencing, the scoreboard, I mean, the laser grading, it's really made those fields nice. So I expect we'll be getting phone calls to have tournaments, which will be great.
Very good, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Councilman Paris.
Thank you, Council President. I wanted to state too that, you know, I've had some inquiries about this as soon as the fences started going up, and word about the scoreboard coming, you know, in the future, and it's all out there now, and it really looks great. I've heard nothing but really a lot of positive things. I was a little bit concerned though, and I appreciate our COO providing the user agreement that requested as the backup material. Had a chance to look at that, and you know, this is basically March through May or March through June 1st, I believe. To be able to have Divine Child have exclusive use for a couple days during the schedule. But this is not going to displace any of our recreation leagues or anybody coming in. And what I was particularly interested in seeing in the user agreement, and it's in there that they are going to contribute towards the maintenance of those ball fields also. And kind of related to this, but not directly, just so people understand this too, this isn't just Divine Child coming in here and say, hey, the fields are across the street, we want to use them, can we use them? Divine Child contributed $100,000 towards those fields and some of the work that went in there. So that really has to be said, because some people have questioned that. I mean, a public-private you know, cooperation, that's really good, that we should have that, you know, when necessary and when we can, and we have a mutual benefit, and I think in this case too, it is a mutual benefit for both of us. So thank you.
Well said.
Just regarding the maintenance, it'd be hard to put a dollar amount on the value of the early season maintenance on those fields to keep them nice, and that's going to benefit, you know, our residents into the summer months, because then they'll have the perk of those fields having been maintained for, you know, nicely for three solid months. So.
Right, which it wasn't happening in the past. Right. Yeah, there's definitely benefit. Thank you, Councilman Paris, for your comments.
It's not a slam to our maintenance folks. It's just, you know, they're going to get 3 months of good attention to those fields.
Absolutely. All right, any other questions or comments on this item? Any objection to unanimous roll? Okay, unanimous roll shall be attached. Next item. Thank you, Director.
Item 25, resolution by Council Members Herrick and El Sawafi authorizing the Finance Director to recognize a donation from the Dearborn Rotary Club in the amount of $70,000 in the 634 Fund and Project I-34300, account number 634-5100-365.90-00, and appropriate to the Henry Ford Centennial Library Auditorium Renovation Project, account number 634-5100-435-98-00, and requesting immediate effect.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. The library received a donation in the amount of $70,000 from the Dearborn Rotary to be used towards the renovation costs of the Henry Ford Centennial Library. The renovation of the auditorium is a large project that benefits the community by providing space for programs, community gatherings, and other events. This donation will be very beneficial towards the completion of this project, and we would like to thank the Dearborn Rotary for the great work they do in our community daily. So we do want to appreciate them for what they do, and they do have a website. If anybody would like to go on to the Rotary, Dearborn Rotary, there's a lot of good work that they do to help our community, and these are partners with the city in many, many events. Councilwoman Herrick?
Thank you, Council President. And thank you for the recognition of the Dearborn Rotary Club of Dearborn. Rotary Club of Dearborn is celebrating its 100th anniversary in serving and working in partnership in Dearborn. This year, earlier this year, they had a big celebration at the Ford Community and Performing Arts Center, and it was a fundraiser for the renovations at the library. So I know our library director is still here. The giant check was presented this summer, and I know the work is continuing, but could we have an update on the progress in the renovations there? I know that one of the primary objectives was to make the auditorium there more accessible, and with that came new seats and kind of new configuration. But where are we with it, and when can we expect to enjoy using it again?
Yeah, thank you, Councilwoman Herrick. Betty Adams, Library Director, and we are on schedule. Everything with the auditorium project is meeting the deadlines. Currently, the auditorium has been painted, as well as some of the electrical work has been done. Anything that is underground has been completed. Cement has been laid over that electrical work, as well as the ADA compliance levels of seating are already installed, so it's very cool to see how it's already changed. And we are now actually waiting for the chairs, but it is on schedule, so we're just waiting another week for the chairs to be finalized, created, and be delivered to the library for them to install. So very excited. It will be completed, as if it stays on schedule, before the end of the year, and we'll do a big reveal at the turn of the year to 2024. So.
Excellent.
Exciting, thank you.
Excellent.
Yes,
On time is great.
Absolutely, I was very happy with that.
We do appreciate that. Any other questions or comments? Any objection to unanimous roll? Unanimous roll shall be attached. Thank you, Director. Next item.
You.
Item 26, resolution by Council Members Al Sawafi and Enos, designated the Ford Community and Performing Arts Center as the permanent early voting site for the city of Dearborn and requesting immediate effect.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk. In 2022, voters passed a law to allow for 9 days of early voting before every state and federal election. This request is to designate the Ford Community and Performing Arts Center as the permanent early voting site for the city of Dearborn, and immediate effect is being requested. Any questions or comments on this item? Okay, any objection to unanimous roll? Unanimous roll shall be attached. Next item.
Item 27, resolution by Council Members Hammoud and Herrick, authorizing the finance director to recognize $250,000 in reimbursement revenue within the clerk election division, account number 101-1350-330.04-50, and authorized to appropriate $367,402 of the general fund balance to the budget of the clerk's election division and various accounts to cover the estimated additional cost to implement all aspects of Public Act 81.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Additional funding is required to implement the early voting for the presidential primary in February 2024. The costs associated with it running in the early voting for presidential primary are as the item listed below. I think we have a chart to put on the screen. I'm not sure, but I'm going to read it off. This is a council initiative that will be considered a line item budget. There you go. Which means that the appropriations will be listed in this order that's listed on the screen. Dropbox installation, $10,000. Election payroll, $96,940. Pre-logic and accuracy testing of $16,000. Postage of $5,000. Supplies and miscellaneous at $7,000. Tablets of $24,000. Laptop accessories at $2,694. Tabulators of $119,700. $8,467,000 for voter assistance terminals, and BOD systems of $27,618. Temporary internet connectivity at $25,000. Printers at $5,633. ADA voting booths at $1,050. Signage of $3,300. Outreach and voter education of $15,000. The total of this amount is $367,000 that should be appropriated to the clerk's PA 81 in compliance with PA 81. We are anticipating and also authorizing the finance director to appropriate a reimbursement of approximately $250,000. For our residents, a line item appropriation, the clerk is well aware of it, so if there is an adjustment to these numbers within the scope, they would have to come back to the council. Mr. Clerk, you're aware of that, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so this hopefully will make sure that we have a successful and election and early voting. As this is new waters, I guess we're going to see how it goes, but we have full faith and confidence that we have funded it appropriate so that we will have a smooth election. Any questions or comments on this item? Any objection to unanimous roll? Okay, unanimous roll shall be attached. Next item.
That completes the agenda for tonight.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. I just wanted to acknowledge, I know our chief was at another event, the Dearborn Police Department once again has met all their qualifications of becoming an accredited agency for Michigan law enforcement. Congratulations to the second consecutive achievement of being an accredited agency, which is a great accomplishment. These are standards that are set forth and are not easily attainable. So I know that it's something that the officers as well as the department and the administration is very proud of. So I wanted to make sure that that they know that it is being recognized for our police officers. I also would like to open them up to our council. Anybody would like to have anything from the council at this time? Councilman Paris?
If I could, I just want to make mention too, I was contacted by a resident today. If we could, with the administration, I know our city website is being revamped. There's a lot of time and effort that's going to be expended into improving what we all know is not a good website to be able to go on and navigate. What I would ask, though, we have the city calendar, and we also have a council calendar of meetings, public meetings. Person was inconvenienced today by coming to a meeting yesterday and then finding a notice on the bulletin board of the DAC that the meeting was canceled. However, there's nothing on the city website and there's nothing on the council calendar, you know, in regards to the meeting being canceled. And from my understanding, it was canceled at least a week or two ago and no notification on the city calendar. So this is not an unusual circumstance. I know that the city really pushes to try to get information out there, the transparency, but we really have to make an effort to go ahead and keep those calendars up to date. I, for one, I check that calendar every single day. I want to know what meetings are coming up. I'd like to attend some meetings. I know that there are a lot of residents that do the same. So please, you know, just try to make that effort if at all possible. If a meeting is canceled, make sure it's posted. You know, I've brought this to the attention Not just now, but I mean in years past too, the difficulties that people are having, making sure that there's meetings, scheduled and canceled. One other thing that I'd like to bring up, this is on a good note, and I wonder if our DPW director or our EC director might want to talk about sweep week, only because we're looking at it, and getting a lot of emails, phone calls, and it is on the city website. Take a look at the city website, cityofdearborn.org. Go on there and you'll see that we have a sweep week. I believe it's the second one this year, and this one is October 9th through 22nd, I believe. And what is sweep week and what are we trying to accomplish?
Thank you, Councilman Paris.
Thank you, Council President. So sweep week is something, Jordan Torty, Economic Development Director. So the code enforcement team within the Economic Development Department puts on sweep week twice a year. The goal is to go after the high priority violations, litter, trash, debris, weeds. We're looking at illegal signage, all of those things that are sort of persistent issues, areas where neighborhoods have said, hey, this street or this property is a repeat issue. We go after those items. And so we've worked really well with the communications department, community relations department to really get the word out, to let people know. We do try to prioritize education during that time. So if it's resident violations, especially for first timers, we really try to focus on just giving folks a warning, letting them know what's up, and here's how things work. But on those major health and safety issues, we really prioritize enforcement, making sure we get compliance. And so there is information online. You could reach out to the Economic Development Department if you want to bring an issue to our attention. Our inspectors are out there prioritizing this.
It's my understanding, too, that you do want residents to call in on the 943-2150
Absolutely, please. And the response center has been awesome about getting those right to us. We're routing them. We're tracking inside to make sure that there's timely responses on every issue that's brought to our attention. We're tracking them digitally, too.
And if I could ask, just for an explanation that people understand, what is an NOV? What's a notice of violation? People probably, especially if it's the first time that they engage with this service about trying to get upkeep, that they might get something that resembles a ticket or a violation. What is the difference?
Thank you for the question. So NOVs, because of a lot of the legal language that's required to be on there, they do kind of look like a ticket, but rest assured, if it says notice, that's exactly what it is. It's just a warning letting you know, hey, we saw this. Those notices have information if you need translation. They have information for the inspector who visited. They should be filled out with a name, a phone number, and an email. If they're not, you can call the response center and we can track down who that was. So that's really just to alert you, to let you know we saw this violation. It's supposed to identify the exact ordinance at play and what that issue is in layman's terms. If it's not, I would like to hear about that. We've been really trying to work hard to make sure that we don't just throw you a bunch of jargon that you don't understand, because the idea of the NOV is it is to let you know, to educate you, hey, we saw this. So that's all that is. Tickets only come if there's not compliance after that.
Thank you.
Yeah, Councilman Paris, thank you. I do appreciate it. Director Torre, I do appreciate this, as the goal is always for compliance.
Yes.
So it's a lot of people, as Councilman Paris indicated, when you get that, they think it's a ticket, but it says on there it's not a ticket.
Right.
But in the past, not under your direction, there was not actually a violation written. There was more of a blanket, this is a nuisance and so on. And I know that you've cut that out and written up people for that. It has to say this is the violation, this is the code, this is the remedy. But it does, at the end of the day, is that we want the residents to comply, and I'm sure they do too. A lot of times they just don't know. So it's good, as we've been having recently with the wires and overgrown vegetation is affecting the electric lines. So we do appreciate that, and this is a blitz enforcement.
Yes, indeed.
Right, so when you get one, take a look at what it says. It should be very self-explanatory. If it's not, please contact the number or contact the council office. We will find out why, but it's been very successful, in my opinion.
Thank you.
And I know there's been a lot of social media and videos, but we haven't seen you in the video yet, so I don't know what's going on there.
No, they want to actually have people watch them, so they're not putting me in them yet.
I think you would do good. So it's a good program. It's a good way to let everybody know, here, let's get the city cleaned up. As residents may have known, the city council, one of the initiatives that I came forward to my council, obliged unanimously, was our Clean Streets campaign, which we didn't frame it as Clean Streets. We said clean up the place, and funded the trucks and the employees, and the mayor ran with it. And I know that's something big, which we will be highlighting soon. There was a lot of areas where you'll see signage and people dumping stuff, and our city needs to be clean. And, you know, no one council person can do anything without the 4 votes. And I was proud to say that the entire council agreed, and we did fund it. I know it's on the way, and I'm sure it's going to be highlighted. There was issues before where things were in the medium. You know, oh, well, that's the county's fault. That's the state's fault. You know, and this particular program is, we're cleaning up wherever it is. And some of my members early on has not seen it yet, but we have went out, and the amount of litter and trash that is being picked up off the streets without asking where and who they're from is unbelievable. And I do believe in that theory, that when the residents see that, they themselves will then contribute to making sure that the city stays clean as well. You know, it's not hard to throw something when there's garbage all over. Right. And as things are being cleaned up, I know that's an initiative, and it's a big initiative. So we do appreciate that. I know that's a little bit off the topic of this, but that Healthy Streets campaign that this council took forward is a big deal, and I think it's going to make a big difference to the residents. So we do appreciate that.
Absolutely.
All right. Councilwoman Herrick?
Mr. Torti.
Oh, Director, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Director Torti. Sorry. Just to dovetail off of what Councilmember Paris was asking about. Yesterday, there was a business open house at the Performing Arts at Monday. Oh, yeah. Was that just yesterday?
Expo.
Yeah,
Expo.
The Expo, I'm sorry. And I was just wondering how it went, how many businesses participated, because I think it was a wonderful opportunity for business owners or prospective business owners to talk with the city about mutual expectations, I suppose. But how did it go?
Thank you for the question. Yeah, the inaugural Dearborn Building Expo was held yesterday from 5 to 8. We actually also had extended counter hours today. If people had follow-ups from the evening they wanted to come in. We had about 100 attendees, nearly 100 that showed up. We had 3 dozen vendors. So for a first one, it was a pretty good showing. Right. We want to grow that next year. We were really excited about it. A lot of the vendors, we had trade unions, we had contractors, we had designers, we had architects, all over the gamut. And we had about 50-60% of the department was actually there. We had every division represented. We had the fire department, police department, public works, and engineering. We really had a lot of support from everyone. The historical museum was there, so we're really grateful for all the city support. The whole point was to just get people connected to not only economic development and all the resources you'd need to do something with a property in town, but also to show all the other departments that are part of these processes and related. So it went really well. We're going to be doing it again next year. We're going to keep that October time frame. We got some good feedback about that. So stay tuned for more information. But I would also just say a quick shout out to every department that helped, especially communications, who helped us get the word out, and the Parks and Rec team, who turned over what I think was probably the biggest wedding I have ever seen in less than 10 hours to get this ready for us. So it was a really, really good effort from every department in the city. So thank you for highlighting that.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Councilor, for bringing that up. Yeah, I mean, the message is we're open for business.
That's right.
And we want the residents and the people to understand that how the process works and trying to streamline it. And I know that we've talked a lot about technology and we've funded a lot that's still coming online, but it's getting there. And when it gets there, it's going to be much, much more efficient process, which hopefully will help speed along something.
Absolutely. Council President, just to that point, not to elaborate, but we had Google there, so they were showing videos of the product in process. I really do think, not to sound like the hype man, but what they're building for us, it could be the future of municipal permitting. So we had videos. We're going to work with comms to get that stuff out there. This stuff is, you know, the mayor likes to say Model T to Mach E. That's where we're headed with this stuff. So we are really excited about it, and we're going to work with comms to get the videos out. So if you didn't see it at the event, we want to show people what we're working on.
That's excellent. Thank you. Councilwoman Herrick, I apologize. I just wanted to chime in there on that aspect.
No, that's fine. And then also, a couple of people, well, we're always hearing people ask, what's happening with Village Plaza? Because a lot of residents are saying, well, why don't we put new businesses in there? And, well, the city doesn't own that, so we can't just do that. So do we have an update on what's happening with Village Plaza at all?
I believe there's, Mr. Romer, is there pending litigation?
There is, the city's motion for summary was granted. We're waiting for the judge to sign the order, so we will, we can proceed with the demo once that order is provided to us. But we're also talking with the business owners as to how that process is going to unfold. Obviously, we have owners with a building that would cost substantial amounts of money to demo, as well as their investment into the building, so those discussions will be ongoing. But the litigation wrapped up, I want to say a week and a half ago.
Okay. Thank you for the update. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
right, thank you, Mr. Torney. Anything else from my colleagues? All right, Mr. Romer, we just wanted to welcome you back as well. I know
You're
had
acting like I died.
Just realized.
Well, I'll tell you, we know that you welcomed a healthy welcome addition to your family and took the well-deserved time off. And hopefully, I do believe that the council did adhere. We did have your replacement on call, and I think you did a wonderful job, and we're glad to have you back as well.
They did. Everyone was wonderful. I welcome my second daughter, baby Emily. So yes.
Thank God.
Good times.
Excellent. Excellent. Congratulations. All right. Anything from the administration?
No, not at this time. Grateful for a pretty well-ordered meeting. So thank you, sir, for those of us driving.
It's our pleasure. It's only as good as you bring it to us, so that's a good thing. Mr. Clerk, anything from your end?
Yeah, you know what, I just wanted to bring up and to recognize also that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Very good.
We should bring that up. I mean, almost every family, almost every home has been touched by
absolutely
by that. And I lost a grandmother due to breast cancer, so I'm hoping that residents will support the groups and organizations that are working for a cure, because breast cancer, again, touches us all.
Absolutely. Thank you for your comments, and sorry for your loss. But you're absolutely right. I mean, it's tremendous how many people are affected by it, and there's also a tremendous amount of good stories where people catch it early and are able to successfully live excellent lives. So early detection is very big. So we do appreciate that. Thank you for that, Mr. Clerk. At this time, we will open it up to our second public comment portion. Again, there's some comment cards. You also are free to walk up to the podium. Remember, there's a 3-minute time limitation. The clerk will provide you with a 30-second warning, and just please state your name and address for the record. And yes, sir. Yes, sir. Come on forward.
My name is Dennis Duggan, 21800 Morley Avenue, Morley Manor. I just need to give a little bit of context here. So I retired at age 72, that's about 3 years ago, and worked the election. And I tried to volunteer, but to do something in election work as a volunteer, but there wasn't a mechanism for that. So they had a teenage job. So the only fraudulent thing in the clerk's office is me. I'm a teenager, so I'm hired in as a teenager. But I came from a nursing home administrator, sales and perceptions and image, and so I want to say to you, as the Board of Guiding Lights, you got something to be proud of in that horseshoe out there. Ali, the one word I would say is hospitality.
Nice.
Okay, but he has also created, and in the 2-3 years that I've been there, there's been a more jovial atmosphere in every department, from economic development to assessors to the engineers. Maybe engineers could smile a little bit more.
Yeah, they need to smile. You're right. All engineers.
But everybody in that horseshoe, if you're the guiding lights and are looking for how things are going, I want to tell you, you got to snoop in me to tell you, you guys got something to be proud of. So.
Oh, thank you so much for the comments, and thank you for your service. We do see you at the elections. It's very, very important to volunteer your time and help on the elections. Thank you. Anyone else from the council would like to address the city council regarding council business, city business? Please step forward to state your name and address for the record. Okay, hearing and seeing none, do we have a motion? Motion to adjourn by Councilman Hammoud. We are adjourned.